Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon to get the latest updates.
Welcome to the Print soft cover. Today we have with us Mrs. Khem Lata Wakhlu, who is a political leader. She's an author, she's a social worker, and currently is the advisor to the J&K Pradesh Congress Committee. Welcome to the Print, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot. Thank you for calling me. Thanks.
Today we are here to speak about her new book that she has written and also unveil it online. The book is called A Kashmiri Century, Portrait of a Society in a Flux.
That's right.
It has been published by HarperCollins, and let me tell you, is a very, very interesting book as far as Kashmir is concerned, because it delves deep into the human side of people who are living in the valley, which an aspect which is mostly missing from books that we read on Kashmir, which basically dominates violence, and we talk about politics, but mostly don't talk about lives of people in Kashmir and the human side of it. So many congratulations on the book, ma'am. It really gives us a peek into the lives of Kashmiris and its culture, its tradition, its rituals, the relationships that are built. So again, many congratulations, ma'am. And without wasting any more time, let me ask you that what made you write this book and what inspired you to put these stories together?
Since I am a Kashmiri and I've been living here from my childhood. In between, I went to different places, England, Germany, and USA and other places. But this is my home. And throughout these years, even in turmoil, whenever, it was horrendous situation, terrible situation. In spite of that, my husband and myself, we decided to stay here. I must tell you one thing, which I think I haven't as yet told anyone, that we were both, my husband and myself, from our home. We were kidnapped in 1991.
Right. You've made a mention of it in the book, in fact.
Oh, yes, I have mentioned it only. Yes. But the travel and the horrible time we had, the trauma, right, I should say. And we lived with those people for 1.5 months, right, not a small gap.
Right.
So I think being a Kashmiri, we could understand their language. We could empathize with them sometimes. We could be, very angry and so on and so forth, because they are, already, my husband and myself, we have written a book, 45 days with the militants in Kashmir, right, kidnapped.
Right.
So it has been published long back. And we have given all the details about that, the psychological aspect of it, the administrative aspect, and all sorts of things. So therefore, we decided, after that also, we decided to stay here.
Right.
And lived throughout this period. And still we are. I am from Srinagar this time, right, talking from my home.
So, ma'am, for our viewers, if you could just give us a peek into A Kashmiri Century, what is it about? Because, it has very interesting characters as far as Somali is concerned, Himal is concerned, Kashi is there, and how their lives are intertwined. So
actually, it is 100 years span, which I have collected from my own home. Some right, stories of my own home, where I lived and where I was, brought up. And this is from the Somali and Himal. They are my great grandfather.
Okay.
Whose brother was kidnapped from Kashmir
right,
to Lucknow. And my grandfather grew there, and he passed his BA. He did his studies and everything. He was brought up there. As a kid, he went, small child. As a kid, he was brought up there. And then he came after 22 or 23 years back. And after graduation, he came back and served here and in Kashmir. And that is the story of my own grandparents.
So these are all real faces that we read in the book.
These are real stories. These are, I think some of them I have lived through. And
Right.
some of them I have heard from my own grandparents and parents and like that. That's a family story, you can say.
Right. So, ma'am,
And
what catches our attention immediately at the starting of the book is when that kid gets kidnapped, and a priest does that, which was maybe something that was unimaginable at that point of time. So, if you could just tell us briefly about that period, about how you have written about Kashmiri Pandits in Kashmir, their life.
you see, we can imagine. I can, although I don't know, I have heard about these things. One thing is sure that there was no communication and
Right.
everything was haywire. I mean, we are living in a golden period this time. We have got all the communication, everything is available, every facilities on those, and they used to go from one place to another place if at all they had some money. I mean, for well-to-do families, they used to go on horseback. Otherwise, people used to go by foot. They would cross the mountains and things like that for months together, if not years, months together to reach any place, from one place to another place. And when they narrate, I mean, I have been I heard from my parents, my father, he used to say, because he has heard from his own father how they went and what they went, whatever I could gather, I have jotted down in my book, whatever I could gather. And the situations and the communication was gap of lack of communication and the hardships and those things were there. Whatever I could gather and I have heard from my own parents and grandparents. So I
Right.
have jotted down. And but other things which other stories say, those I have lived myself after 47 or even 43. I mean, first that picture, this one, this picture is my family picture from grandparent to my time.
Right.
So three generations are in this photograph.
Right.
And these are our helpers, and there are some more helpers which are not here. But I mean, it used to be a big, compact family.
Right.
And so many brothers, sisters would come together, live like as if it was a hotel. It
Mm.
was just like that. The
Right.
entire edifice, entire situation was absolutely different from what we are seeing these days.
These days. Ma'am, as the book goes on, you say that starting from the 12th century CE, in fact,
Huh.
there's a desire to flee persecution. You also talk about hands of sculptures being cut and only 11 Kashmiri Pandit families
Oh, that
being.
is that is true. That is true.
So,
I
ma'am,
mean,
if
this
you could just
that
tell us.
is that horrendous history of ours and true history. That too from 13th century.
Right.
That was, I mean, it's called the Vethavatur. That is a river Jhelum, where
Hmm.
people used to go. I mean, everybody had only one the religion, that was Hinduism, Shaivism, and all the people were going on the Vitasta. That's called. They used to call it Veth,
Right.
and that was a festival of river Jhelum, and people used to go with diyas and other things the way they are doing it in Hardwar and other places, and prayers. And while they were, this is didn't in their psychology, in their blood, everybody from generation to generation, that fear, the trauma which they have gone through. And these things are called from generation to passed on, sort of. So it is really traumatic. It is
Ma'am, if you
horrendous.
could just take us back a little in time and tell us when it all began.
What you mean, this trauma?
Yes, I mean, when you say that there was they wanted to flee and only 11 Kashmiri Pandit families were left
No,
behind.
but some no, but those people who were raiders or arrested raiders in those days, you can imagine. You may have seen some films, old type of films. They used to come on horsebacks. They used to come with daggers and swords and things like that. They wouldn't see this or that. They will annihilate everybody, whosoever came in their way. And not even children were spared. But some people, I mean, it is, that's what I have heard. that people were thrown, they were beheaded. Thousands of people were beheaded and thrown into the river Jhelum. And everybody says, whosoever narrates this story, for that matter, it was my grandfather's diary or something, documented evidence that the whole river Jhelum was being flooded with blood and something like that. The color of Jhelum was red. Something like that was said. And all Kashmiris, everybody had a traumatic experience. And those people who were saved were made gulam, slaves. So it is I have also heard this because some people's, our ancestors may have documented these things. And generation to generation, these things are being, narrated, something like that sometimes. But all Kashmiris have suffered. I mean, we can't say that this group has suffered. Everybody was one group only. And everyone, all Kashmiris has suffered. And when I write these things, it doesn't go away. Even if that trauma, it is in your DNA. It goes on there. And the fear, this time also, before 30 years, terrorists came here. They terrorized people like anything. First, they beheaded a couple of people and their bodies were hung on the tree tops to scare the people away. That's what happened. And the rest of the saga you may have already heard, because so many books have been written about all sorts of things, about running away, Muslims, Hindus, whosoever was there. But this book, I said, no, we have to preserve our own something Kashmirian, which is real Kashmirian. We usually narrate, say that Kashmiriat, Jamhuriyat, and something like that. But Kashmiriat was composite culture. We were really spiritual. Spiritualism was so vibrant here in Kashmir. And whatever you are seeing in other parts of India has gone from here. Once upon a time, Kashmir was a beacon light to the entire world, not only to India.
Right.
So Kashmir.
Ma'am, what went wrong? And in fact, that was my next question. You have spoken about how there was constant provocation by Pakistan, which was rejected, in fact, by Kashmir, starting, say, from 1947 till about 1965.
That is true. That is correct. Yes.
And so what went wrong? How did they succeed or partially succeed, if I may say that?
There are so many reasons about this. One thing is their not good administration and nepotism, favoritism, and then so many, I should say, that little mistakes which were added. And the greatest thing was that propaganda from other side. Because when people didn't turn towards those people, and they didn't like that kind of politics or whatever you may call it, ideas or whatever. But they did have, I mean, they poured petrodollars, they poured money, they flooded Kashmir with all sorts of propaganda, by print propaganda and radio, TV, and also money makes mayor go. So money has also this propaganda plus money, and our own weaknesses here. Some weaknesses which are gross weaknesses. In 87 also, we have had elections, and some people were disgruntled, and they joined hands together and made a MAF, Mutahida Mahaz, which I think I have written about that in my book. Right. So it was formed. And at that time also, when the result was out, I mean, it was common. Everybody was guessing that at least 10, 12 seats they may take. Even if they would have taken, so what? In democracy, you can have opposition, good, strong opposition. But it was done in a very bad, I mean, that taste is still bad taste in
Ma'am,
our mouth.
when you say it was an administrative failure, who are you really speaking
No,
of?
I don't want to name anyone. There are so many people. I don't want to, because maybe I was also there.
Hmm.
I can't blame each. I mean, single out any one person, 2%. I mean, gradually it went, it slide down,
Right,
downwards.
right,
Unfortunately. And people, one thing is there, I must say that even now, people are aspiring something, and youth, especially when they are read, they are educated. They want that the good governance has to be there.
right.
No nepotism, no favoritism. If you are capable of delivering something, you should be able to get something for that.
Right.
Do you
Ma'am,
understand my point?
correct. In fact, the
They
book,
want fair deal, fair deal. And not only they, I was also like to have fair deal. And they are in the Pandit families also, in my families and everybody.
right,
If somebody is, somebody is qualified for something, he doesn't get the proper place. Instead, somebody else is going to be projected and given a seat or something like that.
right.
So naturally, heart burning is there.
Hmm.
If you are not getting your due, so what kind of, the governance is that?
Right. Ma'am, in fact, the book also puts into perspective the situation in Kashmir at that time. It also talks about what impact did Bhuttos hanging and emergence of Orthodox Islam in Iran had in Kashmir at that time. So if you could just
Actually, you are asking me only political things, but never mind, it's all right.
but
I don't mind.
that is a major part of the book, ma'am, as you go on.
That is true. At the time of Bhutto's hanging,
Right.
people were really disgruntled. Not only, one section of the people. Everybody was shocked. I think all India, in India also,
Hmm.
people were shocked.
Hmm.
He was, today he was a president or prime minister. And after some time, he was hanged for nothing.
Right.
What was his? Even if he goes wrong or policies are wrong or anything is wrong, but for that hanging,
Hmm.
and Kashmiris didn't like it. Nobody did. And would you believe me? One of my relatives, I asked her, I said, Khana wana ka? Say, today we didn't prepare, we didn't cook anything. So shocked people were. Everyone, not only Muslims.
Right.
And Muslims also. At that time, I have heard so many people that Sheikh Saab had taken an absolutely correct
Stand.
step to go with India.
Right.
He has chosen, and he knows he is far sighted, he is progressive, he is forward looking. In कश्मीरी कहते हैं दूर अंदेश,
Right.
दूर अंदेशी है, बहुत आगे की सोचते हैं, नहीं तो they would have killed all of us.
Right.
That's what people were saying.
Right.
And the anger was so much that even the placards at the time of Bhutto's hanging, placards to the dogs were, put on their heads, Ziyal or Haq, go out, and something like that. I am eyewitness to these things, and so many processions that hang this Ziyal or Haq.
Right.
Those were placards.
Ma'am, was that the time also when Jinnah had compared Sheikh Abdullah to a rotten egg and that had rubbed the people of Kashmir in the wrong way?
Actually, as a kid, I didn't hear him saying myself, with my own ear. But one thing in my family, and then all my elders, they were so angry, all of them, that is he going to talk like this to our leader?
Right.
And there were some mohalla walas in our home at that time. Perhaps I have mentioned Chacha Razak, we used to call him, and he was also there. They were everybody was angry, extremely angry.
Right.
I mean, my elders and those people who were living in that area, they
Right.
had come to see, to hear more about this thing,
Right.
and they were very cross. That's what I say. And I overheard this, that somebody has said rude word like this,
Hmm.
rotten egg,
Hmm.
to our great leader.
Right.
That is true. As a kid, I have heard it.
Right. Right. So, ma'am, also since the book travels through, when everything was fine to the turbulent times, and then till what happened after partition and how this entire thing started, it also mentions about the wars, the three wars, the 62 war, the
Uh-huh.
65 war, the 71 war, and what impact did that have on Kashmir? If we
But
could.
65 war was quite okay, absolutely okay. And 71 war, when Bangladesh was created or separated, at that time, some groups, they didn't have good opinion about Pakistan, and they were hurt.
Hmm.
They were really hurt, some of them.
Hmm.
But others took it as usual.
Hmm.
I mean, it was not a big situation or
Okay.
big event. Of course, the war between the two countries was a big thing, no doubt about it.
Right.
But it was not so, there was no upheaval within the valley.
Okay.
But opinions were there. I
Hmm.
mean, some people didn't like that Pakistan should get into two pieces or something like that.
Okay.
That one group was there.
Right. All
One
right.
group of people, you can say that hardcore or overall public opinion, that if they can't mend their own ways, that what are they going to do with us? That also was a opinion, one of the opinions, you can say.
So, ma'am, if you could share your experience about writing the book, because since you have gathered so many stories from your childhood, also even before you were born, in fact. So, how did you manage that? I mean, is as you mentioned in the interview initially that there were some diaries that were maintained. If you could just give us a glimpse of how you researched for a book, because since I said it covers a big.
Most of you see, this photograph is our family photograph,
Right.
and those things, most of the things which I have written are my own experience.
Hmm.
Like, after 45, or
Okay.
say after 47, everything I have witnessed myself.
Right.
I mean, I didn't have to ask anyone, because those are my muqaddas, like events, like, Prophet Muhammad's hair was lost or something like that. I
Right.
was these things I have witnessed myself. I mean, I didn't have to ask anyone about these things.
Hmm.
It was my own experience. मैंने खुद अपने आंखों से देखा, जो देखा वो तो बिल्कुल सामने था. And of course, about my grandfather, that was not only written, that was talk of our own family. This has happened, that some I mean, sometimes what happens actually, my uncle, they used to go for Allahabad for their studies or something like that, LLB and something like that. They used to go out of Siri, Kashmir. At that time, this topic used to be there in
Okay.
Lucknow or something like that, that our relations are there, sort of. So that was a, sort of
Okay.
family thing.
So, ma'am, did you jot it down? I mean, these stories that you heard from, say, your grandparents, or while you sat down to write the book, you just recalled? And
No, but one thing I must say, that this time also I am writing something,
okay,
but I put
okay,
and then I, without any break, sometimes I take, I mean,
hmm,
look at these points. Sometimes those points I written only for the sake of that I shouldn't forget the most important things. I
right,
jot it down and then I go on writing.
right, right. Another very important aspect of the book is, ma'am, how Kashmiri Islam changed, the character of it changed. What you
But
have mentioned.
actually, it was the character of Islam, that hardlining,
Yes, you
that
said it was especially
hardcore Islam.
right.
I mean, Wahhabi type of that. It's a creation of these 30 years. That's all. Before that, it was not visible, nowhere to be seen. In Kashmir, there was Sufi Islam. And those people who are our saints and peers and fakirs and other things, they were very close to our own ideology, Shaivism and Buddhism. Buddhism is our, I mean, it has also gone into our DNA. Shaivism in our DNA, and Sufi Islam also. That is our, I mean, I will give you one or two points. I will give you example. There is this Nund Rishi. Nuruddin Nurani, Tari Sharif is a very, very big astapan hai, बहुत बड़ा astapan hai, which was gutted by these militants in 95. It's a very, and it is worshipped by Hindus, Muslims, Sikhs, everyone whosoever is Kashmiri, because he was not a saint. He was a great poet, great peer and fakir, great saint, rishi. So, and similarly, there are so many shrines where both they go. Batmalu is another thing. He was a Batmalu. Batta means Pandit. Batmalu is a place now. He used to feed thousands of people every day. He was Kashmiri Pandit. Even now he is called Batmalu. And for him, 12 days fast is observed, even now. And within these 30 years, these shrines and Dasgir Sahib and Prophet Muhammad's that on the hair, where it is kept, relic. They were about to gut it. They were about to finish it.
Right.
And this is our heritage. This is you can say that our culture. Our culture is going around these things. Our culture is around Rishi. Kashmir is called Rishwar, Pirwar. It is a place of sages and sons, peers and fakirs. It is like that.
Right, ma'am. Ma'am, in the book, in fact, you also talk about a division in the Kashmiri Pandit community that happened. that was also a very interesting bit. So if you could just tell us something about that. Because from the beginning, we read about the characteristics, the traits, a lot of adjectives used for Kashmiri Pandits that keep recurring in the book. And then we see this division in the community. One is making money, one is not.
No, actually, at the time of that, this terrible upheaval in 13th century onwards, when there were only 11 families, 11 families, only 11 family remained. Hindu, but others were annihilated and others were converted. But Kashmiri Pandit, only 11 families remained. And out of these 11 families, somebody had to do some spiritual work also, prayers and something mandir ka, baki jo hai. Are you comfortable with my Hindi?
Yes, of course, ma'am.
अच्छा. तो वहाँ कौन कहाँ जाएगा, क्या करेगा? These were the very, very major things which they had to think about. So what they did was, जो पहला उनका बच्चा होता था किसी का family में, the elder one, he became a priest.
Okay.
Priest, and others became, and they were free to go for government jobs. Okay. Whosoever was there, Pathan आए उनके साथ गए. I mean, studying. Religious part में जो थे, they became brothers. Brothers means first son of the family was kept for the priesthood.
Okay.
Understand?
Right.
तो उसके बाद ये इतना गैप हो गया, दोनों में से आपस में शादियां नहीं होती थी. And it was due to economical parity also.
Right, right.
Because those people who were working with the government, they used to have little more money.
Right.
And those priest class, utna,
nahi hota tha. They were mostly dependent on the...
they were dependent on these karkuns.
Right.
They used to call them karkuns and those
Yes.
gurus. So, yeah, which is very unfortunate, very unfortunate. But nowadays it's okay.
Right, right.
And whenever I do anything, I see it from that point. I don't differentiate between anyone. They are our own people. They are all Kashmiris. Our language, our culture, our way of life, our libas, everything is same. Where is the difference?
Right, absolutely. Correct. So, ma'am, aapka favorite character book mein kaun hai? Which is the closest to your heart?
Me, you mean in the book?
In the book.
All characters are most important to me. I can't single out anyone because I will be misunderstood.
Yes, and when it involves family, then you must say...
Some characters are, God bless them, they are there. And I don't want to single out anyone.
Right.
All the characters, they are all nice.
Ma'am, आप बोलेंगे कि political question है, but this is a very important question.
Yes.
How do you see present day Kashmir? And right now it is very much in the news with the new political developments also, the Gupkar alliance, the meeting with the Prime Minister. Do you think, where does Kashmir stand now? And since you have been in Kashmir for so long, you know the history very well, you have grown up there. What do you think of the current situation?
Current situation... Agar ye press and media and there aren't so many characters here and there who are just poking nose, doing all sorts of, and our neighbors and other things. If left alone, we know where to go, what to do. Everybody in the world says that good, happy life, peaceful life, progress, development, and going ahead. There is no going backwards.
So, ma'am, going ahead would mean elections.
That is a natural process in democracy. Right. Elections are natural process.
Right.
I mean, whosoever is going to come should be welcomed and they should also deliver, not only come. Anybody can come and sit on their chairs, but they have to deliver the goods. Otherwise, if they won't deliver, because one thing I must tell you, whenever in our history of from 13th century onwards, I'll call it from there. एक बात है, जब administration अच्छी थी, जब governance अच्छी थी, people of Kashmir had really good time. They have had real time, good time. So Lalita Aditya, that was a beautiful time. Zainul Abidin Badshah, that was a beautiful. In between, there were some good, monarchs who delivered and who kept people very happy. And Kashmir thrived under those people. और जब खत्म खराबी हो गई, in olden days also, things slided down to the horrible things.
Right. So, ma'am, what are you working on next?
I'm writing.
Okay.
And sometimes when I am tired, then I take my sitar and I just keep playing on it just to keep myself okay, happy. That's all.
That's a great hobby. Thank you so much for joining us, ma'am. In fact, it was a very interesting read. The book, A Kashmiri Century, it actually delves deep into the society of Kashmir. At that point, it covers a major time frame starting till the 1947 and beyond that as well. Many congratulations for
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot. मैंने कहा कि little more you should get something different, And
Right.
so far, you have been having all sorts of bombs and
Yes.
Sputniks and militants and this and that. You should get the real Kashmir, ethos of Kashmir.
Like as I said in the beginning, that apart from the violence and the politics,
Oh,
this,
yes,
this
yes, yes.
book is actually a glimpse of Kashmiri life. And I would not talk more about it. I would want the viewers and readers to take the book.
Yes. Have you read it? Have you yourself read?
Yes,
Oh,
ma'am, very much.
Okay. That's why you can.
Yeah, that's what I
Okay.
could relate to those characters. And in fact, since I could, if I ever wanted to meet one character from that book, would be Himal. So,
Himal is no more now.
yes,
She was my grandparents' time.
but very interesting character. Very she's been written about very strongly. I mean, comes across as a very strong, firm, a very strong-headed woman. So
Himal nahi, Sokmal. Himal was, no, I think Sokmal is my grandmother.
okay.
She was very, very, very strong lady.
The one who adopted the kid, is it, or the one who gave up the kid?
Gave up what?
Whose child was abducted in the beginning?
No, that is Himal.
That's
Himal. That's Himal.
Right. Thank you so much for joining us, ma'am.
Thank you for listening. And